general texture with an aluminum ball, the most classic of classic moves. Sand, measure, sand, measure. My arms really did hurt after about 30 minutes of shaking. I barely know how this goddamn program works. Yeah, the journey to the city of the damned. It continues. Hi guys, it's Jagelsdorf, and let's jump back in. Last time we were making some forms with silicone and 3D printing. In this video I will make some more forms as well as start assembling the houses. Instead of going through the whole process again, I will just tell you what I've changed in it. After a glass of complimentary stale grape juice, of course. Bon appetit! Down the hatch! First of all, I pre-cut some cardboard squares. The idea was that Super Sculpey will stick to them while I'm sculpting and baking. This should reduce warping ideally, but it only worked partially. They still warped and detached themselves from the paper, but at least it made handling them much easier. I think using Sculpey for this job and trying to keep some precise measurements is simply not a good idea. It warps too much while baking, whatever you do. Should I make such things again, I will consider using a different sculpting medium. Now, for sculpting itself, I always struggle with the additive part in the whole process. I always think about subtracting mass and pushing it around, but adding mass is something that doesn't really sit naturally with me. So in this case, for example, to achieve this classic medieval half-timbered look, I first texture my blank with a coarse sandpaper and then put strips of Super Sculpey on top and sculpted the timber structure into that. After baking them, I had to do some cleanup, as I said before, and it was time to make some forms again. Here again I tried a few new things. I tried using Legos again, like in the last video, but to be honest, I'm less and less of a fan of the Lego bricks. Cleaning them up is a hassle, trying to hide the studs is a hassle. Generally, I was fed up with these bricks and made quite the mess. I also tried gluing my tiles down with PVA glue with moderate success. I guess the next step is making some dedicated reusable casting forms with my 3D printer. So, with all this prep work done, now we have to figure out how to get from this to this. Yes, you may gaze for a second, but remember to drop me a like and click the subscribe button. So let's start with a simple two-story townhouse. I first arrange the tiles in the way that I need them. As you see, the tiles don't fit quite perfectly, so I clean them up with the little help of my trusty knife. Next, I glue them to a piece of card to give them some stability. I tried connecting them straight up to each other, but the results were way too fragile. As I will be putting floors in between them, it isn't really necessary to have the tiles connected vertically. Now, the more perceptive of you might have noticed that I didn't prepare any ruined walls for my ruined city. Let's fix that. Like and subscribe. I can now quickly assemble the ruined fragments as I need them. Again, the cardstock backing is helpful as it holds all the shards together. And of course, you couldn't break it by hand and have much more control, but hey, where's the fun in that? For some reason I didn't film it, but I attached the tiles to a piece of double corrugated cardboard with hot glue. I did it on the side so that I can have my bottom floor straight away, straight there. Somewhere in the middle I hot glue one of the wooden posts I made before. But bare cardboard is a little bit bare. So let's get some egg cartons. I tried this method before a few times, but I was never really happy with the results. I'm glad to inform you that this time it has changed. Simply cutting squares with a scissor is wonderful, and they arrange and look wonderfully as flagstone. Moreover, to add in the speed aspect of the process, you can simply cover the whole floor in the glue and layer eggy stones one after another. Super cool. They came out rather uneven. I fixed it in the later builds, but doing it this way also have a certain charm to it. Now comes the time to do the insides of the walls, because this bare cardstock is a little bit bare. So let's get some texture paste. Sadly, the commercial texture paste that I had didn't quite stick to the paper, so I had to get out the big guns. A freshly made batch of my salt putty. Trademark patent pending. It spreads and sticks wonderfully. It gives an amazing rough texture and dries rock hard, making this paper and plastic constructions way more stable. With this we have our ground floor down, so let's continue up. To make the whole thing more interesting and sadly difficult to paint, I decided to make the floors with real beams out of real wood. I cut some balsa strips, arranged them accordingly, and weighed down for gluing. In the meantime, I cut a whole bunch of floorboards out of any scraps that I had laying around. Popsicle sticks, scraps of balsa. I just simply hate wasting stuff. I first attach the walls so that everything fits, and then glue the floorboards as chaotically as I can. And after that I pretty much continue onwards in mostly the same fashion, until the whole building is done. Or mostly done. The roof is still missing. As I still hate measuring and precision, I basically cut my balsa strips on the tile itself and use it to make additional ones. Quick, dirty, orky. Wait, we're not even doing orky stuff today. Damn it! Anyway, I know that roof elements have their own complicated names, but I'm not going to do that. I'm way too lazy to do the necessary research. So let's just say that I glue the horizontal pieces with PVA glue. There is one thing that I try to keep in mind when gluing those. The fact that your shingles or roof tiles will be lying on these slats. So try to space them apart roughly as wide as your roofing is. You will spare yourself some gymnastics with trying to make the little roof tile stick to the little roof tile before it with no support underneath. Here. The shingles themselves I made out of scrap cardboard scratched with a knife to try and give them some texture with mild success. And yeah, here we are. The first of many houses is ready. I would show it to you here right now, but it's mostly painted at this point and I don't want to spoil it. If you want to see these things ready and put to action, well, you have to follow me on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, do it. And that's it for today. Thank you. See you next time. Bye. Of course, it couldn't came to be with a. Of course, it all couldn't came to be. Of course, it all couldn't come to be with the. Of course, it all couldn't come to be with a. Of course, it all couldn't come to be with a. Of course, it all couldn't come to be